The forest smelled of pine and damp earth as I pressed my palm against rough bark, steadying myself. Behind me, drums echoed through the trees. The bonding ceremony. Everyone who mattered was there, dressed in their finest. Everyone except me. My silver blonde hair caught the dying sunlight. I'd spent hours preparing my only decent dress, imagining how I might blend into the crowd. None of that mattered now. The old woman's hand was cold in mine, her breathing shallow. I'd found her 3 hours ago, disoriented near the border, her leg trapped beneath fallen rocks in a collapsed shelter. "You should go, child," she whispered. "The ceremony doesn't matter," I murmured, though we both knew it did. At 25, I was old to still be unbonded. My parents died when I was 16, leaving me with nothing but a cottage on the outskirts and a reputation for being too quiet, too strange. The ceremony was supposed to be my chance, not for love, but for security. A place, someone who might find me useful enough to keep around. Instead, I was here in the darkening woods with a dying stranger. A branch snapped behind me. Every instinct screamed danger. "Who's there?" My voice came out stronger than I felt. 3 figures emerged from the shadows. Men tall and powerful, moving with predatory grace. They weren't from our pack. The one in the center stopped a dozen feet away, his dark eyes scanning the scene with calculated assessment. Sharp features, an air of command so tangible it made the air feel heavier. "You're on Silverpine territory," I said, forcing steadiness into my voice. "The border is half a mile west." "We're aware." His voice was deep, controlled. "We heard someone calling for help." "The healers are coming," I said, shifting to place myself between the strangers and the injured woman. "We don't need assistance." "No offense, but you look like you've been losing a fight with that cave for hours," the younger one said with amusement. He wasn't wrong. My hands were scraped raw, my arms shaking from exhaustion. The leader studied me with unsettling intensity. "How long has she been unconscious?" 20 minutes, maybe less." I swallowed hard. "Who are you?" "Does it matter?" He moved forward with fluid grace. "She needs proper shelter and treatment soon, or hypothermia will set in." Everything in me said not to trust them. But the woman's breathing was getting worse, the forest growing colder, and the healers still hadn't arrived. The leader crouched beside me, close enough that I could see amber flecks in his dark eyes. "I'm going to examine her injuries. You can either help or get out of the way." Beneath my fear, I recognized something in his tone, the sound of someone who'd made too many decisions alone in the dark with no good options. I nodded once. "Her leg is possibly broken. She hit her head when she fell." His hands moved over the woman with practiced efficiency. Between the 3 of them, they fashioned a makeshift stretcher with speed that spoke of extensive experience. "Where do you need her taken?" he asked. "The healer's lodge on the eastern—" I stopped. "You can't. You're not pack. The guards won't let you pass without permission." Something flickered in his eyes. "We'll take her to your border. Your healers can meet us there." "Thank you," I said quietly. "Don't thank me yet." He turned to his companions with quick commands, then back to me. "What's your name?" "Does it matter?" I echoed his earlier words. The corner of his mouth twitched. "I suppose not." We reached the border just as torches appeared through the trees. The healers, accompanied by guards whose expressions shifted from concern to suspicion. "What's going on here?" Thomas, the head guard, stepped forward with his hand on his weapon. "Who are these wolves?" "They helped me," I said quickly. "We're leaving." The leader's voice cut through rising tension. He and his companions lowered the stretcher carefully. "Your territory, your responsibility now." Thomas's eyes narrowed. "Your Silver Crest. You know the protocols about crossing borders." "We do, and we've just returned to our side. No harm done." The leader's gaze found mine one last time, and something passed between us. Then he nodded once and disappeared into the forest. "Are you insane?" Thomas rounded on me. Do you have any idea who that was? My stomach dropped. Who? That was Marcus Kane, Alpha of Silvercrest, the most powerful wolf in the Northern Territories. I stood there in the torchlight, my ruined dress clinging to my legs, watching the healers work. The drums had stopped. The ceremony was over, and I had missed it entirely. The old woman stirred, her eyes opening. She looked directly at me and smiled. You have a kind heart, child. That will matter more than you know. I didn't sleep that night. By morning, the village buzzed with unusual activity. Word had spread about the impending visit. Marcus Kane was coming back. Officially. The Alpha wants to see you, Iris the healer told me. Alpha Raymond sat behind his massive desk, with his son Derek beside him. You're the one who found the Elder last night, Raymond said. Thomas says 3 Silvercrest wolves helped transport her. Describe them. I recounted everything. Raymond and Derek exchanged a look. Do you know who that was? Raymond asked. No, Alpha. Derek laughed, a short, disbelieving sound. She really doesn't know. Know what? Raymond stood, moving to the window. That was Marcus Kane, Alpha of Silvercrest. The room tilted. The stranger who'd knelt in the dirt beside me, who'd helped without hesitation. That was an Alpha. That's impossible, I whispered. Silvercrest sent word this morning. Marcus Kane is coming here today. He specifically requested your presence at the meeting. But he didn't know my name. Neither do we, Raymond said flatly. Which is why you'll be present when he arrives. You'll answer his questions honestly, and you'll do nothing to create a diplomatic incident. The village square transformed while I waited. People cleaned, organized, preparing for inspection. When Marcus arrived on horseback with his 2 companions, dressed in formal black and silver, he looked different in daylight. More dangerous. The scars along his jawline stood out in sharp relief. He carried himself with authority that made Raymond's power look diminished. His gaze swept past Raymond, past Derek, past all the carefully arranged pack members, and landed directly on me. Then he smiled. Something genuine. Something warm. Hello again, Marcus said, his voice carrying across the sudden silence. I believe we have unfinished business. Inside, formal introductions were made. I was directed to stand at the far end of the table, present but not prominent. Perhaps you can explain the true purpose of your visit, Raymond said carefully. I came because of the bonding ceremony, Marcus replied. His gaze found mine. A significant event. Every unbonded wolf expected to attend. And yet, one chose not to. Chose instead to help a stranger in the forest, alone in the dark, knowing it would cost her any opportunity the ceremony might have offered. With respect, Derek said, I fail to see why one pack member's poor judgment warrants an Alpha's attention. Poor judgment? Marcus repeated slowly. Is that what you call compassion in your pack? Choosing to save a life over social advancement? It was a violation of pack expectations, Derek shot back. Or it shows that some wolves value different things. Tell me, how many wolves at your ceremony would have left to help an injured stranger? How many would have even noticed she was missing? The silence was damning. Silvercrest is hosting the Continental Summit in 3 weeks, Marcus said. Every major pack from the Northern Territories will be represented. I need someone at my side, someone who understands that strength isn't just about dominance or political maneuvering. Raymond leaned forward. You have advisors, diplomats, who do exactly what's expected, say exactly what they're supposed to say. Marcus's gaze never left mine. I don't want performance. I want someone real. Someone who makes choices based on what's right, not what's advantageous. You're suggesting Raymond couldn't finish. I'm asking if she would consider accompanying me to the summit as my partner for the proceedings. The room erupted. Derek was on his feet. This is insane! She's not trained in diplomacy. She has integrity, Marcus interrupted, and I've learned that integrity is far rarer and far more useful than training. Raymond held up a hand for silence. The decision should be hers. Everyone turned to look at me. Why me? I asked quietly. You don't know me. I'm nobody. You're someone who chose compassion over ambition. Marcus leaned forward. Someone who acts instead of performing. Someone who sees people, not opportunities. He paused. And you're not nobody. Not to the woman you saved. Not to me. The word struck something deep in my chest. How long would I be gone? 3 weeks total. 2 weeks of preparation at Silvercrest. 1 week at the summit itself. 3 weeks away from this village, from the pitying looks and whispered comments. 3 weeks in a world I'd never imagined accessing. I looked at Raymond, at Derek's hostile expression, at the elders who'd never known my name. Then I looked at Marcus, at the patient certainty in his eyes. Yes, I said, my voice stronger now. I'll go with you. The next hours passed in arrangements and protests. Derek argued with barely concealed fury until Raymond silenced him. When do we leave? I asked. Tomorrow morning, Marcus said. After the meeting concluded, Marcus paused beside my chair. Walk with me. I took his extended hand, his palm warm and rough with calluses. Outside we walked toward the forest edge. You're going to have questions, he said, about what happens next. I have hundreds, but I'm not sure where to start. Start with the most important one. Why are you really doing this? He was quiet for a long moment. Because I'm tired of playing games. Tired of empty words and calculated alliances, and people who smile while planning your downfall. The summit will be full of that. I need someone there who reminds me that not everyone operates that way. You barely know me. How can you be sure I'm not like that too? Because you gave up your only chance at the bonding ceremony to help a stranger. No one who thinks strategically would make that choice. He stopped walking, turning to face me. That's rare. I'm going to disappoint you, I said quietly. I'll say the wrong thing, or use the wrong fork. Then you'll be genuine. I'll take genuine mistakes over calculated perfection any day. We reached the forest edge where I'd found the old woman just last night, though it felt like a lifetime ago. What should I bring? Just bring yourself and whatever makes you comfortable, though I should warn you, Silvercrest is different from here. The politics are more complex, more wolves wanting to use you for advantage. Others will hate me on sight. They'll be suspicious, he corrected. But you handled me well enough in the forest. I have faith you'll manage them too. I can't believe I talked to you like that. If you'd known, you would have treated me differently. Carefully. Politically. He leaned against a tree. I liked being treated like a person instead of a position. Don't lose that when we get to Silvercrest. His expression grew serious. The summit isn't safe. There will be packs there who would love to see Silvercrest weakened, who might see you as a target. But I won't let anything happen to you. That's a promise. I should go pack, I said, needing space to process. We'll leave at dawn. Meet us at the eastern road. I turned to go, then looked back. I don't even know your name. He watched me with an expression I couldn't read. It's Marcus. And you're the alpha who kneels in dirt to help strangers. Just Marcus, he said softly. When it's just us, just Marcus is fine. The journey to Silvercrest took most of the day. Marcus rode beside me, mostly in silence, occasionally pointing out landmarks. His companions, Ethan, the younger one, and Sebastian, the silent one, filled the hours with stories and songs. As shadows lengthened, we crested a hill and Silvercrest revealed itself. Where my village had been modest, Silvercrest was deliberately beautiful. Stone buildings with slate roofs, elegant streets, a central estate that could house hundreds. Everything spoke of power and prosperity. Home, Marcus said quietly, and I heard something complex in his voice. A silver-haired woman waited in the courtyard. My mother, Marcus said. Catherine Kane. She studied me with sharp eyes. Then her expression softened. So you're the one who chose compassion over ceremony. Welcome to Silvercrest, child. I think you'll find we value such choices here. The following 2 weeks passed in preparation. Catherine taught me summit protocol while reminding me that rules existed to be understood, not necessarily followed. Ethan tested my ability to think quickly. Sebastian taught me to recognize dangerous wolves by their body language. And Marcus was everywhere and nowhere. Present in stolen moments, early morning walks where he'd share concerns about the summit, late evening strategy sessions, quiet dinners where we talked about nothing important. I learned that he'd lost his father young, like me, that he'd inherited leadership before he felt ready, that he carried loneliness like a second skin. "You're stronger than you think," he told me one evening in the garden. "I see it in how you handle my council's skepticism." "I shrink inside," I admitted. "I just don't let it show anymore." "That's called courage." His hand found mine in the darkness. Feeling fear and acting anyway. The contact had become natural over 2 weeks, a growing connection neither of us had named. The summit arrived. We traveled to neutral grounds where the gathering would take place. Packs arrived from every direction, banners flying, power on full display. Marcus had been right. I watched alphas and their mates perform elaborate social dances, each interaction weighted with territorial implications. A tall woman approached, beautiful and sharp-edged. "Marcus, how unexpected to see you've brought a companion." "Allow me to introduce Lena," Marcus said, his voice cooling. "Victoria." The woman's gaze raked over me. How charming. Though I'm surprised you chose someone so unpolished for such an important gathering. Before I could respond, Marcus stepped closer to me. I chose someone genuine. Steel beneath silk. Someone who understands that strength isn't performed, it's lived. Victoria retreated with forced grace. Similar interactions peppered the first days. Each time Marcus made his position clear, I was there because he wanted me there. The shift happened during the 3rd evening. Discussions had grown heated about territorial disputes, voices rising with barely controlled aggression. I watched wolves who should have been allies snap at each other over boundaries drawn decades ago. "This is pointless," one alpha declared. "We'll never agree because none of you will admit your packs benefit from the current disputes." I'd stayed quiet throughout as planned, but watching them tear at each other while real solutions went unspoken, I thought of the old woman in the forest. "What if," I said quietly, "the question isn't who benefits, but who suffers?" The room went silent. 20 pairs of eyes turned toward me. "Explain," the first alpha said, his tone more challenge than invitation. I glanced at Marcus, found him watching me with steady encouragement. "You're all arguing about boundaries and benefits, but you're not talking about the wolves who actually live in these disputed areas. The ones who can't mate across pack lines, who can't trade freely, whose families are divided by politics they didn't create." "That's the nature of pack structure," Victoria said dismissively. "Does it require unnecessary sacrifice?" I met her gaze directly. "Or does maintaining these conflicts serve the alphas more than the packs?" "She has a point," Catherine said from across the room. "We've been having the same arguments for 30 years. Perhaps it's time we ask different questions." The debate that followed was heated, but productive. Boundaries were redrawn with input from wolves who lived there. Trade agreements formed. Families separated by politics gained pathways to reunification. It wasn't perfect, but it was different. And different was a start. Afterward, Marcus found me on a terrace overlooking moonlit gardens. "You did it," he said. "You shifted the entire conversation." "I probably shouldn't have spoken. You're exactly what I needed, what we all needed." He turned to face me, intensity burning in his amber eyes. Someone willing to say what needed saying without calculating political cost. I was terrified. "I know." His hand came up, cupping my face with devastating gentleness. "You were terrified, and you spoke anyway. That's not just courage. That's leadership." "I don't want to go back," I whispered. "To my village, to being invisible." then don't. His thumb traced my cheekbone. Stay. Not as a guest or diplomatic courtesy. Stay because you want to. Because this, he gestured between us. Whatever this is, it matters. You matter. To me, to Silvercrest. To yourself. As what? As mine. The word came out rough. However that looks, whatever that means, I'm asking you to build it with me. The kiss felt inevitable. Gentle at first, questioning, giving me space to refuse, but I'd spent too long refusing possibilities. I kissed him back with everything I'd held silent. When we pulled apart, I heard applause. Catherine stood at the terrace doors, grinning. Ethan beside her, whistling. About time, Ethan called. We've been taking bets for 2 weeks. Marcus took my hand, interlacing our fingers with deliberate certainty. And I knew I'd found something I hadn't been looking for. Not just love, but recognition. A place where choosing compassion over convenience made me valuable, not strange. 3 weeks later, standing in Silvercrest's great hall, with Marcus beside me and the pack assembled, Catherine made it official. I was no longer a guest, but pack. The old woman I'd saved attended the ceremony, traveling to witness the girl with the kind heart step into her new life. She embraced me warmly, whispering that hearts always knew truth. My old pack sent formal congratulations, carefully political. As seasons changed and I grew into my role beside Marcus, I understood that the bonding ceremony I'd missed had never been my destiny. That night in the forest, choosing to help a stranger in darkness, had been the real ceremony, the moment I'd chosen the person I wanted to become. Years later, when we had our own pack to lead together, I would tell young wolves who felt invisible that sometimes the most important choice you make is the one nobody's watching. That real strength isn't about dominance, but about showing up when it's hard, helping when it costs you, speaking truth when silence is safer. I would tell them about a night in a darkening forest, about choosing right over easy, about an alpha who valued integrity more than politics. And I would tell them that sometimes missing the ceremony you're supposed to attend leads you directly to the life you're meant to live.